Hey Airheads! This week's episode of Aficionados Internet Radio is brought to you by Audible. You can start your free 30-day trial today along with a free audiobook by going to audibletrial.com/aficionadoschris. And while you're at it, be sure to pick up your first audiobook. One which I will recommend is Scrappy Little Nobody, written and narrated by Anna Kendrick. Your support helps keep the channel going strong and content plentiful. Now, let's start the show.
Hey Airheads, Aficionados Chris here. You're listening to Aficionados Internet Radio. Air with Aficionados Chris.
Hey everybody, Aficionados Chris here, and brand new episode of Air, Aficionados Internet Radio. It's been a long time, but I found the right kind of guest to revitalize the podcast. Great content creator we have here. Someone who I was introduced to by my good friend Joey Hollywood. A lot of your viewers might know him. He talked about this guy as having what he claimed to be one of the best Mystery Science Theater fan projects. And someone like me, I hear fan project and I go, ugh, just roll my eyes, because I can't really stand most fan films or fan series because they're usually very amateur or really fanboyish and honestly like terrible. But that wasn't the case with our guest today, because Incognito Cinema Warriors would be the show I'm talking about, is honest to God one of the best fan projects I've ever seen, because it's not just a simple Mystery Science Theater ripoff show. It's very much its own thing. Best way I could put it, if Mystery Science Theater was produced by Capcom, and they don't just do movies, they even riff on video games as of late, and they've, I believe, found success in moving to that medium. But we have the lead actor, writer, graphic designer, After Effects, anything else you do on that show, Rick?
We only have so much time.
The nearly one-man crew, Rick Wolf. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me, man. I'm super jazzed to be here. I don't know if I can live up to that intro, but I'll try.
I gotta sell it, man. Like I don't know your opinion on fan films or fan projects. I mean, as someone who's made a relatively successful fan project, I'd say, in contrast to other ones I've seen, because there are fan projects that don't even get past like the first episode,
or they don't even get past filming.
Oh, well, that's also true. But my exposure with Incognito Cinema Warriors was I was at Joey's house shooting Midnight's Haunted Drive, and I'm sure you've heard of that.
Yeah, man. You're the voice of Bud, right?
I am. Yeah, I'm the werewolf for people not listening. Midnight's Haunted Drive, and is Joey's
shout out.
Yes, shout out, homage to Mystery Science Theater, Elvira, stuff like that. I'll link the trailer somewhere for you guys to check that out. It's gonna be
we appreciate Midnight's Haunted Drive-In because it makes us look less insane.
Oh, well, we appreciate you. All I ever did, we watched some of his DVDs, which I now own every copy of. Apparently,
that's
to your
so cool, man. Thank you.
To your surprise, that I actually own all the DVDs.
Yeah, I was like, damn, dude, thanks. Keeping a roof over my head.
And anything, man. But that was the thing, is watching it, I was just like, wow, this is actually good. There are elements where you go, oh, well, yeah, that's a Misty kind of thing. But the show goes in such a different direction.
Yeah.
And I mean that in a good way, because, everyone knows Mystery Science Theater, I would think. They're in space, they're riffing bad movies, and the plot's very thin. It's just an excuse for three comedians to riff on a movie. Whereas the plot with yours is very, very different, because there's a whole zombie apocalypse going on, which already you have grounded on Earth, not in space. And even with the Capcom stuff, obviously Resident Evil with the zombie stuff, but I actually read this on the Wikipedia, and it made me click. I realized a lot of the bots have Mega Man looks to them. They're clearly highly, obviously you have intertitles in some episodes that are straight lifted from Mega Man. They look like something Inafune would design.
Yeah, and that's completely intentional. Loved Mega Man. I don't even think I would be a metalhead without Mega Man, dude. If you go back and you listen, like Mega Man metal covers, like they're perfect. That stuff was written for that.
That actually brings up something interesting that I found out about. You actually, of all the people, which I thought was interesting as someone who starts like making internet content, you actually got a lot of your start in music, specifically like heavy metal stuff. You were in a few bands.
Yeah, that's where I started out for sure.
How would you say that, like you said, it influenced, your interest in stuff like Mega Man? To me, that's an interesting dynamic, is you come from a music background and all of a sudden you're making a video on the internet with robot puppets. Like did that have any other influence besides the Mega Man connection? Like, obviously influence, I guess, in the theme song.
Yeah, that theme song's a little bit much for most Misties I found.
Honestly, I think it's catchier.
Thanks, man.
I have legit found myself going back to just hear that theme song over the Satellite of Love theme.
Yeah, people seem to dig it, though. I've had a real weird journey, man. Let's see. Started out drawing comic books, actually, when I was really young, and thought I wanted to do that, and got decent-ish at it. And then I discovered the guitar, and then, put down the pencil and followed that. And I grew up in this weird town where you either had to listen to rap or country.
That's right. You were born in New Hampshire.
I was born in New Hampshire. My parents moved us to middle of nowhere Podunk, Missouri when I was about 6. And it was a real strange town, about 10 years behind the rest of the world. It was real backward there. I would wear like blue jeans and a biker jacket in high school, and I was the goth kid.
See, the thing is, I bring it up because I actually grew up in New Hampshire most of my life.
Oh, and wow. Yeah, it's beautiful out there.
And what you described, the whole, you were either into rap or like that, it was no different. I grew up in Concord, New Hampshire. Same damn thing. I was wearing wearing leather jackets and Metallica belt buckles. And I was the weird kid because I wasn't listening to Jay-Z.
Oh, that's so strange, man. Yeah, I mean, and this was 90s for me. So, I was Metallica, Pantera, Corrosion Conformity, all that kind of stuff. And like, there was like maybe 3 other kids that listened to that stuff, and we were all outcasts.
At least where I grew up, if you were into like hard stuff, rock and metal, you were basically a cult because there were so few of you in my high school.
Yeah. Oh man, that's so crazy. That was exactly what it was like for me. So, I was kind of on the outskirts. I started to get popular senior year.
Yeah.
And then it didn't matter at that point. But after that, I started my first band. We started playing out around, and at that point nobody wanted to play anything but new metal and wear weird makeup and tune your guitar solo. It sounds like mud. Which has come back, but people are actually playing and writing good things on the low-tuned guitars with like 7 and 8 strings. So I'm happy to see that's finally come back and people are doing good things with it. My first band, everyone ended up just calling us Slip Vein or Mud Knot.
Did you have one of those logos that looked like a bundle of sticks?
No, we had a very legible logo in that band.
Then you weren't metal enough, man.
That's right. We weren't death metal enough. That's the earmark of a good death metal band is if you can read the logo, you're not death metal enough. It needs to look like something someone sneezed into a napkin.
I want that stitched on a pillow right there. As the best.
Yeah, just actually have the logo say that.
Sneeze look like it's
very literal.
That's the next band. Sneezed in a napkin.
Oh yeah, that's the band name. Great. All right, we're making it happen.
With the music influence and moving into Incognito Cinema Warriors, because you actually started posting series on that ghost town MySpace way back.
Oh God, yeah. God, I feel like a dinosaur.
I remember the first MySpace, man. Before it was owned by Justin Timberlake and now just Pedals Music, which they've apparently accidentally deleted all of.
What?
yeah, that apparently happened recently. MySpace deleted by accident like a large catalog of music.
Oh, MySpace.
It turned into, and now it's like someone hit the wrong button.
Oh, God. Maybe this just become a paper company next. Let's just try that out.
Even that's a dying business.
Oh, yeah. I only say that because I've been watching The Office like crazy. But yeah, got into playing to bands, and I bought a video camera to shoot a music video because one of my, the band after the first one started to actually go somewhere, and like, all right, we need a music video. So we went and I directed that, and afterwards, I just had this video camera laying around, and I was like, I could do something with this. And I discovered the colorized edition of Night of the Living Dead, which had the Mike Nelson solo commentary on it. I was like, this commentary is really entertaining. It's not like the other commentary track. This guy's like kind of like roasting the movie a little bit, but he's being, clever and gentle about it. And
so was that like your sort of pseudo introduction to the world of
reintroduction? Yeah, because I knew about Mystery Science Theater back in the day, but I never had cable, so I could never watch it. I would just catch little bits and pieces at my friend's house. I'm like, this is really funny, and then I never got to digest enough of it to really discover how much I loved it. And then, like 2003, 4, 5, something like that, I found that commentary track, and then I Googled or whatever it would have been at the time, like Ask Jeeves or something. I don't know. And I looked up Mike Nelson, and then I was like, oh, Mystery Science Theater. And then I started binging Mystery Science Theater, and I got addicted to it. And when it was, I finished Diabolic, the last episode, I was like, there's no more. Well, I'll just make more.
That is the true fan power. There's no more. Well, darn it, I'll make more.
I'll make it, damn it. Yeah, and I had that video camera laying around. It was some kind of Sony Handycam, and then we built our own puppets and decided to make it our own little world and kind of infuse it with the undead and metal, and the rest is history.
I'd say so, and people should check it out. I have actually seen, because I even have the discontinued first episode.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Hey, I used that cheat code to get it, and God damn it, I'm keeping it.
Oh, yeah.
I know your resentment to it, but I don't mind it that much. I think it's fine. It's cute. It's got it. Yeah, it's kind of got its own charm, as the first episode has to have. It sets things up. It's still kind of finding its footing.
It's our KTMA season boiled into one episode.
Exactly. all the non-Misties did not understand a goddamn thing we just said.
No. Let's alienate as many listeners as we can.
Go read a book.
Yeah.
It is astonishing to me, like watching all of them from the start of Bride of the Gorilla all the way up to 205, which honestly I think 205 might be my favorite. It is definitely the biggest one.
Yeah.
And obviously, you can't really love it unless you've watched the other episodes.
That's a weird point to jump in.
In fact, that's the other thing that kind of sets you apart from Mystery Science Theater. The show's pretty serialized, because there's an ongoing story arc going on in the show.
Yeah, and I know, and a lot of Misties don't particularly dig that, and I know Best Brains really didn't like it when Sci-Fi was like, you guys have to have continuity in a story. But I remember one of the very first things I saw was the movie, Mystery Science Theater 3000, the movie, and I really liked that. I really liked the feel of that, and eventually when we started season 2, that's kind of what we were shooting for. Was like, I really liked the bigger budget look at that. I liked, you can't really say it had a continuity to it because there's only the one movie or anything, but I'm a big Doctor Who fan, and I love serialized stuff. I love, just continuity callbacks and things like that. So we decided to go the story route, and it doubled our following as soon as we started to do it.
Well, because in a way you were ahead of the curve, because binge watching is now like a very sort of standard accepted thing in viewing television, or, television like programming. So you got that going for you, is that you're extremely streamable. So that works.
Yeah, that almost happened as well for us.
Yeah, I heard about it. I think you talked about that briefly in the commentary. I don't know how much we can really dive into that for legal reasons.
We can talk about it if you want. I didn't sign it. We didn't sign anything.
Oh,
so.
Okay. There ain't no documents signed. The most amusing thing about, like I said earlier with Incognito, is it's also, as far as my research has gone, it's one of the only fan projects to be appreciated by the people it's homaging. You have that famous quote everywhere about Mike J. Nelson saying, the show's great.
Yeah. Didn't think that would happen.
that had to be like a major scream into your pillow happiness moment.
That sounded pained. That's not the right kind of scream. Didn't expect that to happen at all when we were shooting that first one. That was crazy, because it's so weird, because we've always kind of been deer in the headlights with this whole thing. It's kind of my little sound bite I go to, but it's so true. Because we were just going to shoot that first one. We saw some other MST3K tributes. I had some funny friends. We had a video camera. We were just going to shoot the one, and we really concentrated on making the riffing really solid. And one day I got out of bed and I found an email from Riff Tracks. I didn't really understand who owned what at that point. I was still kind of a noob to the whole riffing scene. I was like, oh God, this is probably a cease and desist. I opened it up and they're like, hey, you guys are pretty funny. Would you like to be featured on our website? And I was like, got that pillow out and screamed into it. So,
oh wow,
that was crazy.
That's new information to me, because Riff Tracks is actually older than I remember it being.
Yeah, like 2005, I want to say, is when Riff Tracks started up. So
I didn't start watching Riff Tracks, I think, until my senior year of high school, when I was like, oh, there's a sort of continuation of Mystery Science Theater doing current movies. You just got to sync them with your copy, which would imply that I have to own a copy of Twilight in order to enjoy the riff of that. The things you do for a good Mike, Bill, and Kevin commentary.
Oh yeah, I've gone to some pretty great lengths myself. We all have. We're like, okay, well, I guess we're doing more.
I think it's proven. I know you talk about we don't get a lot of views, but I think the quality of the content to me is what matters. And in that regard, I think Incognito has exceeded my expectations of what a fan project can and honestly should be. In that you embraced the homage of the thing you love most, but still made it very much your own.
Yeah, that was, gosh, I'm trying to think back to when we started, what the mission statement was. I think the mission statement when we started was just, let's do our own thing with the format. And really, we just want to get some film production chops out of this and learn how to shoot little movies so I could get better at shooting music videos. And then the whole Riff Tracks thing happened. And I can't imagine we would still be doing it without that catalyst of Riff Tracks kind of taking us under their wing and being like, a little more of this, a little less of that, slow the riffs down a little bit. Because we were like shouting over each other in the first one.
Yeah, the thing I noticed about the Grill is that it's very rapid, riff.
Yeah, it was machine gun riffing is what I call it. We don't, try very hard not to do that.
Well, apparently Mystery Science Theater didn't take that note because season 11's first episode was nothing but rapid fire riffs.
Yeah, that's a common complaint with it, and it was very surreal for me to sit and watch that, and I was like, this is a lot like our first episode.
And it's like, you guys are professionals at this, aren't you? Like, what did you do?
Yeah,
honestly, I don't know your opinions, but personally, I was kind of underwhelmed by it. Like, it wasn't bad. Again, it seems like a blowing smoke, but the fact that I watched season 11 went, you know what, I'm just gonna go back and watch Incognito because I think that was a better season 11 in a way, like a 11.5 of sorts, or 10.5, I guess.
I've gone out of my way to not say anything about season 11 because it has been very divisive, and it's really strange. You'll go on Facebook and it seems like it's just a completely unanimous hit with everybody. Facebook is like the nice social media network, I guess. And
apparently in your neck of the woods.
yeah, I guess so. I mean, I don't know. I don't get out.
Your mileage may vary.
Exactly. Yeah, I don't get out too far out of my own pond. So if you go to other websites like Reddit, for instance, you can see there's a lot more people who are a little more critical of it. It's been a really strange thing when it came back for us to sit there and kind of watch it. And we actually were in talks with the people who currently own Mystery Science Theater at one point to kind of do a video game riffing spin-off of it potentially with our characters. Mm-hmm. And that didn't pan out. And it got a little strange for me to watch season 11. And I only watched about half of it. And it got a little too strange for me personally to watch it, and it was an odd experience.
You didn't miss much.
It's really weird too, because when it came out, we started receiving this kind of landslide of emails from people who were unhappy with it, and really? I was like, and I'm like, I can't respond to any of this.
Well, I mean, there's that positive, the fans who are disappointed in the real comeback can go watch the fan series that treats the material a bit better.
And we've a lot of people do that. I mean, if you go look at our YouTube comments or any fan project that's out there right now, you're going to see comments like that. So it has been pretty divisive. It's weird. They don't really roast the films, and for me, riffing is just kind of a synonym of roasting.
Yeah.
I kind of maybe I'm a jerk, but I kind of like them to sink the fangs in. And it seems like season 11, they were more interested in kind of being friends with the bad movies, which I saw a tweet somewhere from someone that said something to that effect. And I'm like, okay, well, clearly that has its audience. There's plenty of people who love it.
Because the roasting bit is definitely more the Mike era. And that's my preferred era. I've always preferred Mike over Joel.
Mm-hmm.
Which, again, I think is why I preferred Incognito, because I was like, well, this feels very much like Mike years than Joel years. I mean, maybe episode 1 is very Joel years because it's still kind of figuring it out. But later on, it definitely gets into Mike territory.
We've definitely always been the frame of mind that the movie needs to be properly spanked, so
and it works. Now with the stuff we've talked about with Incognitos, despite seemingly the very small view count, sub count, stuff like that, you guys have an astonishing dedicated fan base.
Yeah.
Especially on the Patreon. Like, I believe you have, God, I think, over 100 patrons? Maybe more?
Well, let's go look. I don't know. It fluctuates.
I know how much you make, but I don't want to disclose that here.
Yeah, probably good. Let's see. We were sitting at 146 patrons as of today. People come and go, but yeah, that's been a complete lifesaver. We absolutely would not still be doing any of this without Patreon. That's just not only changed the show, but it's changed my life. I mean, that Patreon took this very expensive hobby to being my job.
But that's what I love about it, is that I look at that and honestly, it makes me smile.
Me too.
Well, yeah, well, obviously it helps you the most, but
Yeah.
sort of like, the fan appreciating the fact that the little show that could, even though it seems at first glance, oh, that's not a very popular thing, but then you see the support for it, and it's unlike anything I've ever seen.
Yeah.
You're basically a rather successful cult show.
Yeah. I never thought that would happen when we just slapped some puppets together and grabbed a handy cam.
And the switch to Twitch, where even some people have difficulty doing that, but again, you guys have excelled at that.
Yeah. Who knew? We just do what we do, man. I don't know. I don't want to disparage the typical YouTube subscriber, but it seems like one of our fans counts for, like at least 1,000 normal casual sort of YouTube subscribers. I don't know. They really make up for it with the passion and the support and everything. And I guess we tend to have a little bit of an older crowd too, and they have a little more disposable income that comes with that. So donations come in real thick, and it's just been incredible. They're so good to us. It's crazy. So anytime I look at the numbers, and I'm kind of like, oh man, I wish we'd gotten on doing this whole Let's Play thing like 6 or 7 years ago. These numbers, ooh. But then I go look at our Patreon, or I go look at how much comes in just from one Twitch stream, and I'm like, I got nothing to complain about. So
it's a blessing in disguise. And you bring that up, you rather recently, I'd say, the whole direction of the show was sort of rebranded as Robot Co-op, a separate YouTube channel where the focus is more on gaming.
Yeah.
Now, I think it's safe to say that's a big risk to go, okay. But people who understand the very fun copyright system on YouTube as to why you could understand we're probably going to dial back on the movies and go towards the games.
Yeah.
Because the copyright system's not nearly as problematic with that kind of content.
No, yeah, and that's the thing. Like, it wasn't just one day we woke up and we were like, hey, let's just riff video games. Forget this movie shit. It's a rare day where we have a month where at least we don't get at least one copyright strike on those old clips from Incognito from the old stuff. I just had to fight one last week. Like,
oh Jesus!
Oh, it's ridiculous. The system is so easy to abuse.
That's strange because aren't most of those films public domain?
They're all public domain. It's ridiculous. Well, here's what I think the scam is. Let's get in and figure this out. I got my pie charts and graphs and everything here. I think what happens is we what is it? It's like 2008 or 9. We riff a movie called Bloody Pit of Horror. It's an Italian horror movie. There's no copyright over here in the States. It's public domain. Nobody owns it. And we'll go and upload some clips of us riffing it to send people to the website to buy the DVD. And still, over 10 years later, we're getting copyright strikes on those clips because these little fly-by-night companies will go and download the movie, burn it on a DVD, package it, and sell it on their website or wherever bargain bin place sells that stuff. And they might have some kind of weird loose copyright on their particular release of it, but they don't own the movie.
Right.
But then they'll go into the YouTube system and just completely set it up like they own Bloody Pit of Horror, Lock, Stock, and Barrel. And then the little algorithm bulldogs get released, the hounds get released, and they go out through the whole YouTube system and they attack anyone who has clips up. And we have to waste our time defending it and going like, nope, it's public domain. And they back down every time. But it sucks because it wastes your time.
Funny thing is, I had a song that got grabbed once that was public domain. Some religious chanting song. And CD Baby claimed it, the manufacturing thing.
Oh, I got a story for you. Oh. Keep going.
So it was claimed, and I had to write an email like, okay, the problem with this claim is the song you're claiming is public domain. It's not owned by anyone. And I attached the documentation proving that it's not copywritten that's in public domain, they immediately retracted like, oh, we're so sorry that
Oops.
but it's like, how do you accidentally claim something that nobody owns just because you're selling a CD with public domain recordings? You don't own those recordings.
I think there are entire companies built on just hoping people don't look into things, and they'll get those ad revenue pennies off of whatever video it attacks. But it's funny you bring up CD Baby, because a lot of the albums I've been on over the years have been, we used them as a digital distributor, and I got no hate for CD Baby. I think they're great. But we did sometimes we'll grab karaoke tracks and use those to do parody lyrics. Like we did a parody of the first Noel called The First Nolte, the first Nolte, as in Nick Nolte. And we used a karaoke track of the first Noel, and we just, put disturbing lyrics to it about Nick Nolte. And we got a copyright strike on it from CD Baby. And what we found out was that some woman had downloaded the karaoke version that we had, gotten cleared to use, and had released an album through CD Baby using that exact same track, and didn't clear it with anybody, just put the CD out, put it out through CD Baby. And we actually got this woman in trouble. And CD Baby pulled her whole album because it was full of karaoke tracks she didn't have rights to.
I mean, who's the bad guy there? Like,
yeah, I mean, nobody really comes off completely smelling like roses in this scenario.
I don't know, because you at least cleared the usage. I think you're cleared of wrongdoing in that regard.
Yeah.
I wouldn't call her wrongdoing. She probably just didn't understand how that kind of stuff works.
Yeah, it could have been some soccer mom who has decent pitch and decided to put out a fun little album for the holidays.
I can get karaoke tracks for free. That's not what royalty means.
No,
it means you just have to pay a one-time fee and you have the right to it for whatever you're using for. Royalty free does not mean free. It took me a long time to learn that.
Yeah. Anyway, to connect it back in, that's kind of why the move to games got so aggressive, because we just kept having those things come after us in the video game industry, with, I guess, I usually say with the exception of Nintendo, but it seems like they're starting to come around.
God, that copyright system they had, I think they completely forfeited it.
Good call. Welcome to the
21st century.
Welcome to 2011, Nintendo. Video game industry has figured out that's just free advertising, and to back off. That's not going to happen with public domain movies. I don't know what it is, but there's just sharks swimming in the water everywhere, and everyone say they own these movies, and they don't. And we don't own them, and we got sick of the constant assault from these people. And we're going to do one more ICWXP DVD release to wrap up the story and to say thank you to all the fans. And we're actually looking for a high definition movie that we can pay for the rights to really do a proper send off. A lot of these movies look like they've been, looks like a VHS copy. They got deep fried and then microwaved. So we're sick of that. So we're going to do that and do one more send off. And then from there, it's going to be primarily gaming from there out. And it's because of the support on Patreon and Twitch that the characters from ICWXP get to live on in Robot Co-op. So we're very grateful for that again.
I think it works. And it's good you bring up 206, because obviously for the people who probably find this podcast that are fans of you, fans of the show, we got to talk about 206, man.
Sure, let's dive in.
Because obviously the one major, I don't know, detractor. I don't want to make it sound like no one should. I mean, I'm not one to talk. It's been 4 months since my last video. An Incognito can vary from how, didn't it take 4 years to make 205 from?
I believe so. Yeah.
So it takes time, and I don't even know how long it's been since 205 to 206, and 206 isn't even out yet.
No. We shot some chunks of 206 while we were doing 205 because the story's all plotted out. We all know everything that's going to happen. I don't know how long it's going to take because we're in this really awkward place where we've never had as many fans as we do now. Never had it so good. This is my job now, but we're still in this kind of awkward place where we don't make quite enough money to really hire any help with the extremely tedious technical side of things. I can't afford to pay my voice actors to just quit their jobs and do this all day. We're starting to maybe get to the point where we could hire an editor for the YouTube episodes for our Let's Plays and stuff, but I'm 80 to 90% totally on my own for pre-production, and I'm 100% on my own for post-production. So that's the point where it's it was cool that we started to have a story and this high budget, sci-fi channel live segments, but God, does it take a while. So it'll probably be at least another year or two before we're able to get 206 out. And we don't want to rush it because it's the last one. You got to get it right.
Oh, yeah.
So
Well, they say good things come to those who wait. So, because that's the thing is that there's a whole segment in 205 that's done entirely in a JRPG, kind of a Chrono Trigger look to it.
Yeah,
and
that's exactly what we were
going
going
for. That 206 is going to carry on that direction.
Yeah. Going to be about the first third is still going to be in that style, and then it's going to switch back to live action. We're not going to wrap up the story in that style.
Probably be too taxing to keep doing that sprite look.
Well, it doesn't really cost anything except time to like animate all that. I mean, with 205, we were going out to tons of like locations. There's like 3 different movie theaters we shot in. Like it's basically Incognito Cinema Warriors XP the movie episode 205, and that part of it, that's that cost a lot of money, it cost a lot of time. The animating part, it's basically free. I just have to sit here and turn into an old man animating it. so
this rate, we can basically sort of assume 2020, 2021, somewhere around.
Yeah, probably I'd err on the side of caution and say 2021. But our fans, like, if you're still around, you're used to all that, and we're pumping out about at least 2 videos a day on YouTube, so there's plenty to watch in the meantime.
Oh, absolutely. If you could give it a percentage, how much of a percentage would you say 206 is done?
I'd say like 15%, something like that.
Everyone just now was crossing their fingers for a please say like 60 or 70.
No, we haven't even been able to lock down a movie yet. We're trying to find, it's tough because we wanted to do a Slipstream because that has
the Mark Hamill film.
Yeah. Hey, you know what's up. It's also got Bill Paxton in it, and it's just like, oh man, with like everything that's gone on with Star Wars, the jokes just write themselves.
Yeah, it seems like, honestly, it's surprising that Mystery Science Theater didn't do it.
I know. And I know Joel's friends with Mark, from what I understand, so I was surprised.
Several pointless cameos in 11.
Oh, I heard about that. Yeah, I didn't make it that far. I heard Seinfeld's in there.
Yeah, Seinfeld's in there. He really loved, for some reason, Joel was like putting all his friends on the show, and Mystery Science Theater had its fair share of cameos, but not that many in one season.
Yeah,
like, the most you get was like Leonard Maltin or like, you know what I mean? Like you didn't get like Jerry Seinfeld to be in Mystery Science Theater. It's just kind of weird.
Yeah, they really went all out with cameos, didn't they?
If I want Mystery Science Theater, I'll just watch my old box sets.
Yeah, I ended up owning just about everything on physical media because I'm an old man.
Well, you're talking to a guy whose whole subject.
Yeah, your whole channel.
Ain't reviewing any digital downloads on there.
Yeah, you should just have like completely bare shelves behind you, and it's like those are my digital backups you see back there.
Just the paper inserts with the code on them organized. This is Avengers Infinity War, the digital copy. There's
copy.
nothing on it because it's a piece of paper that's already been used, so it's essentially garbage, but
it's just got the download code.
And that shit expires. That's the most ridiculous thing.
Oh God, where were we? Okay, Slipstream, Mark Hamill. We'll get back on track. We were looking at that, but we're doing this whole kind of like 16-bit role-playing game thing. So right now we're kind of trying to find like a fantasy film that someone has cared about enough to preserve that we could maybe get an HD copy of it, and haven't had a whole lot of luck yet.
For some people, getting Rift, I know it seems dodgy because there are those people that just can't take the joke, like a certain Bird film director.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's come after some friends of mine.
Yeah, I've heard about that. But that's the thing is like, hell, I think it even kind of started around the Sci-Fi Channel era of Mystery Science Theater where a lot of people were like, you're basically mocking the people that made these films. No, they're not.
Yeah.
Riffing the film is, you're just having a good time watching a bad movie. But for some reason, it seems a lot of, especially current filmmakers, take it a bit too harsh.
Well, man, we're getting into like then versus now as far as just like hypersensitivity is concerned. I mean,
sure.
Like, God, go back and watch Final Justice with Joe Don Baker. I mean, that would probably be considered like a fat shaming hate crime at this point. That movie. Yeah, it's gonna be like, God, there's like people burning Mystery Science Theater DVDs on their lawns. It's like
Roadhouse is a temple of toxic masculinity.
yeah, all that stuff. And I mean, God, that's just a whole rabbit hole. But there's a certain thing, if you go up to the random person and you say, oh, we're come to this show, we're riffing a movie, your average person probably isn't gonna really understand what you mean. But if you say we're roasting, your average person, oh, I know what a roast is. And there's kind of something understood about that word roasting, where it's kind of like what's actually being said might be mild, it might be awful, but you're kind of supposed to just let it fly, you know? And of course there's a line for everything.
But also because roast is synonymous with comedy, so people get, you're going to make fun of the movie, because a roast is
right.
Poke fun at someone.
Yes. I mean, that's just the larger issue of just, the whole culture war, whatever you want to call it, to where like you can't say like criticism is not allowed.
Well, I don't have a career anymore if that's the case.
Yeah, watch out, man.
I mean, at the same time, I can say this from experience, because as a Misty, shows like Mystery Science Theater can be a hard sell. I watched the Mystery Science Theater 3000 movie on Netflix, like very, very early streaming Netflix, back when like the whole thing was red and it looked like crap. And I remember watching it and calling my brother down, like, hey, come watch this. It's really funny. And he just sits down and he goes, why are you watching people watch a movie? And it's like, I could also turn around and say, why do you watch other people play a sport?
Yeah, and now it's like, why do you watch other people play a video game?
It's the same fucking argument.
Yeah.
I don't know, because I think the guys are making good jokes at this.
I think they're funny and they make me laugh, so I watch it. There's an episode of MST3K where they have this very self-aware joke. I think it's Terror from the year 5000 or something. And so the characters go into a movie theater, and then Mike is like, oh, so we're watching people watch a movie? What is that about? I've tried to introduce many people to the riffing genre, and you do get those people that just kind of blink a few times and go, I don't get it. No, thanks.
I'm hard pressed to call it an acquired taste, but it's definitely like, it's probably just not for everyone. Some people just aren't going to get it.
Well, what's weird to me is that people may not realize it. They may not know what it's called, but everybody riffs. Everybody does it, but I guess, I don't know. Riffing's kind of like pooping. Everybody does it. Everybody does it, but there's only a select few of people who want to watch other people do it.
That is the most horrible yet amazing description of that. And I thank you for putting that on record.
No problem. Put my name in quotes after that, so it's got no association with you.
Oh boy. So
play it safe on that one.
Progress. 15% expected close to 2021. I hope you guys are happy. I got that out of them.
And riffing is like pooping.
And riffing is like pooping. Now, another thing that I thought was interesting, and I know it might trail off because we were talking a lot about content you make, but outside of making the Robot Co-ops and the Incognito Cinema Wars, you've also found some footing in voiceover. You were actually apparently very recently announced to be in a fighting game, I believe.
Kansu Fighter. It's a mobile app on Android. It's really cool. It's not the typical, we're just beating each other up for the sake of beating each other up. It's got a very rich story to it. One of our very close friends who's actually done some artwork for us on Incognito Cinema Warriors and Robot Co-op did all of the artwork. It's hand-drawn sprites. Let's see, I think you should you could Google Circean Studios, or you could probably put these links in the description. It's called Kansu Fighter.
I saw some gameplay of that. It looked interesting.
Oh, it's really cool. And I've never played a fighting game on mobile, and I was like, man, how are they going to pull this off? But it controls so good. And I was a complete douchebag and only played as my own character. I got to go back and play.
You are entitled to do that.
I guess so.
I feel you are. Like, I would do the same damn shit. What are you going to do?
Yeah.
Play the game you are in and not play as your character? Like,
come on.
That's a fantasy, to be in the video game. You're basically living it.
Yeah.
That's no easy feat. There are a lot of people that are trying to get their foot in the voiceover, and you at least got a gig, something that you can say, I'm in that.
I can put that on the resume. I used to be on this website called Fiverr, and I'm actually in like something like 10 or 15 video games.
Yeah.
as the guy that goes, ugh! Or, hey, stop that.
You're basically like a Capcom voice chip.
Yeah, basically.
in a way, again, you basically got to be a Street Fighter voice actor.
Yep.
You got to do the.
Oh God! Yeah.
Saying what I do before I do it.
You can assign so many actual statements to what they're saying. It's great.
How has that treated you compared? Like, I'm sure, obviously, it's not as frequent as the Robot Co-op uploads, but is it a nice change of pace? Do you look forward to getting a new voiceover job?
Yeah, it's great because I don't have to wear pants or write anything.
Like right now.
Yeah. Oh, dude, there's no pants right now. Not at all. It's great because like it is kind of a break for my brain because with the other stuff. Especially if it's a scripted episode. I mean, the guys all have 9 to 5s. I'm usually the one writing 99% of every single little comment that gets said. Or if it's an episode of Incognito Cinema Warriors, I'm writing 95% of just about everything that gets said. We do have some really talented writers that help us with the riffing segments, I should say, though. Voiceover, I can be as schlubby looking as I want. I don't have to look nice for the camera, and I can just sit there and I don't have to worry about writing what I'm saying. I just belt it out. And I actually should also say, it's the biggest thing I've been able to score so far in pursuit of voice acting is a game coming out. It's called Daymare 1998. It's coming out on PS4, Xbox One, and PC. And it's a great big love letter to Resident Evil. It's a survival horror game. And I was fortunate enough to get one of the playable characters, one of the lead roles in the game.
Probably the closest you could come to being in a Resident Evil game.
Yeah. It's come full circle in a weird way. Like Resident Evil very much inspired a lot of things in my life. It inspired Incognito Cinema Warriors, and then it's all kind of coming around in a weird way.
You're in a different fan project, homaging that thing. So
exactly, yeah. And I can't say what it is yet, but I also just finished up a voice gig for Konami.
Man, you're just soaring, man, aren't you?
It's weird. I've been trying to do all these things for like 10 years and got nowhere. The last like couple of months, they all kind of like stuff started happening, and I'm like, this is cool, but what? It's a little stressful juggling all this stuff.
You do have that kind of a voice that suits a variety of different video game characters.
Thanks.
I mean, I tried to get into that myself, and mine's kind of like a bland, deep sound that doesn't do much, and most people need that very, don't know how else to put it, anime protagonist type voice, the ones. It's just, I'm not your guy for that. I mean, I could scream, I could do that for you, I can do a mean Gilbert Gottfried, but I don't think you want that in your game, or anime fan dub.
Yeah, you can't scream like 7 octaves up from your natural voice. Anime may not be for you. I've heard about your Gilbert Gottfried and your theme song. I actually binged quite a bit of your channel before we did this.
Oh, why?
That's a courtesy. I want to know. I want to get on your wavelength. Aficionados Chris.
Yeah,
it's a guilty pleasure.
We had that redone by the great Jeremy Hunter, Scott2 Network on YouTube.
I noticed there was an old version and a new version.
Yeah, I don't like talking about the old version. It's
I don't like to talk about the old version of our theme song either. So.
Fair enough.
Yeah. That never happened.
The version a lot better. I feel it's more in tune with the videos I'm trying to make. I don't like to call it a show, because I feel what you're making is a show. I make like the equivalent of a vlog. I just also write it because I'm still critiquing, so I have to keep my thoughts straight and throw in the occasional joke here and there.
It's great, dude. What's your most popular video? Is it that Godzilla toy review?
It is, and that's what I dislike, is that my most popular videos I don't think they reflect the kind of content I make, especially since a lot of other ones are of a certain fandom that I'm not really particularly as into as I once was.
Gotcha.
Technicolored four-legged creatures, I'll say. And yeah, they're the most popular, but that's why you'll notice when you go to the channel, the popular uploads is at the very bottom, because it's there, but I just don't want people to see it at first. So go watch the best of, because the best of is what I like and feel reflects the channel.
That's what I went through, yeah. And like I feel you, like I've been doing this for probably going on 12 years. I mean, I've sacrificed so much. I've lost friends, I've had relationships, and I had to live on the set of Incognito Cinema Warriors for a few years. I was so broke. But my most popular video is a Metallica vocal cover of Master of Puppets. And I have never been able to produce anything that has gotten anywhere near the views that has gotten. And I just farted it out in an afternoon in like one take.
It's always that one where you put like, because I would argue the Godzilla toy one is just, I just put a camera in front of me and looked at some toys. Why does that have 75,000 views?
Right thing, right time. I mean, we did that. We did a Dr. Pepper knockoff like taste test, and I looked at it the other day, and like it was actually just part of another episode. And we're like, let's put it up by itself. 30,000 views is what it's up to now, and
it's one of my favorite videos, honestly.
Yeah, it came out pretty well. Thank you.
I go back and rewatch it every once in a while.
Oh, that's cool, man. Repeat viewings are the real comp.
Yes, they are.
And then we just did the Mountain Dew one, and like it's struggling to hit 2,000 views, but it's early yet. But it's all right place, right time, and to the millionth degree.
Yeah, I mean, I've watched all 3 parts, so my ass is covered. I'd make a playlist as soon as you can if you haven't already, because I think.
Oh, it's up, yeah.
Yeah, because playlists, I've noticed that sometimes playlists do better than like the video itself. I have a playlist with like 20,000 views, and like that doesn't even make up the bulk of the views on the videos in the playlist. Some of them don't even cross 10,000, so it's like,
crazy,
okay,
man.
I guess playlists work, so that's why I made the best of playlists.
YouTube is a mysterious, fickle mistress, man. I tell you what, Twitch has just been so much kinder to us.
Definitely, but you know, I just can't leave.
Yeah,
I'm going to criticize it and point out its flaws, but at the end of the day, it's a home that sucks, but it's a home.
Yeah, I love the technical aspects of YouTube. It's just that no one can find you. You know, I've met a few pretty big YouTubers, and it's gotten to the point where it wasn't douchey and awkward and weird to show them my stuff. And it's been like, I don't know why your channel's like that, man. You're like, this looks like it should be on Netflix. That's another thing about YouTube that's strange. When we got really serious about YouTube, it was like 2015 or something like that. And we were like, man, we're going to clean up on here. We have such great production value. It's like, that is not something that YouTube users value at all for the most part, is production value. Like, you can just have a webcam and talk about Snoke theories, and you're going to have views.
The people that like the quality, they're just smaller. I mean, evidenced by the page.
Absolutely.
People clearly appreciate the quality and the effort put into it.
It hasn't been for nothing, for sure.
Exactly. You never know what's going to hit. Like, it's a big gamble. And it's why I tell people, don't consider a YouTube career. Just make stuff on YouTube and see what happens. Yeah,
exactly.
For all you know, it opens the door to other opportunities. I can't quit my day job to do Aficionados Chris. I have another job that pays my bills and everything. So Aficionados Chris is basically just a hobby. I like physical media. I like movies. So it's my outlet to talk about what I like. But then people are like, why don't you upload that often? Because I have a job. And that job is higher priority because I like food and shelter.
You have to be doing a live stream from like a cardboard box on a cell phone if you don't.
Be a hermit. With that, God, I think we have established a lot. Your humble beginnings as a musician, putting your stuff on the ancient tomb of MySpace, to creating arguably one of the most successful fan projects of all time, and the transition from film riffing to game riffing, and the process of the show as it is. I think the best way we can wrap it up is, outside of obviously check Rick Wolf's content out. I'm linking Robot Co-op in the description, so give it a sub and just give him all the love and support that you can, because he, honestly, of all the YouTubers I watch, he probably deserves it the most, simply because of the fact that you're basically a one-man crew producing something that even you have mentioned, people have said is like nearly Netflix quality content. So that's no small feat to pull off, and it should be acknowledged. What would you say, out of all the stuff that you've gone through, out of the stuff you've learned, the stuff you have practiced, what would you say to people who are listening now going, I am inspired by Rick's story, I want to pull out a Sony Handycam and make my silly puppet show? What would you say to them?
Oh, God. Well, that's tough, because whenever, you know, I've seen a lot of bigger YouTubers get asked that, and they're just like, just stick with it, man. And it's always kind of like, but I don't know what else you say, because you have to say something positive. You have to say something encouraging.
Sure.
But I also don't want to resort to that sort of blanket statement. I would say it's going to be tough. Like you're not signing up for, a walk in the park, especially in the current era. And believe it or not, this is supposed to be encouraging. We'll get to that point. It seems like every organism on the planet is uploading content at this point. Upload it, put your heart into it, just be completely bare bones honest about it, be transparent with whatever following you happen to get, and it will find people who appreciate it for what it is. And it's going to get you're probably not going to be the one in several million people that just uploads the first video and it just rains subscribers on you, Twitch followers, or whatever it is you're trying to do. But just be stubborn, be really stubborn. I guess that's what worked out for me. It's like, oh, that didn't work. Oh, I'm going to figure this out. Just be really obsessive, compulsive, and stubborn about it. And you would probably get someone.
Essentially, stay determined.
Yeah. Clean it up for me, Chris. You get it.
I think
we should we need a better PR guy than me because I've been through the ringer. So
I'm available.
Yeah, hey, hook you up with the job.
Oh, God,
it's been fun.
I'm glad it has been. It's been fun having you. I hope you guys all enjoyed the comeback. All enjoyed Rikk. I think he's a great personality to have had. I think he was perfect.
Oh, thank you.
And thank you so much for being here.
Hey, thanks for giving me your time, man. We've been chatting for a while now. I appreciate it.
I appreciate you.
We appreciate each other.
Aficionados Chris was a